What's going on, everybody? This is the Gavican Republic, and this is going to be one of my very first videos on the start of a YouTube grind. So one of my favorite creators ever just made a video, and in his video he explained how anybody can start their YouTube career whenever. You just have to stick with the grind and go with it. I'm a cheap college student. I don't have much. I'm recording on a phone, but I gotta start somewhere. So I'm gonna start with a movie review over my favorite franchise of all time, that being Star Wars, of course. And I'm gonna talk about The Rise of Skywalker. Oh yeah, check out the shirt. So I have the lightsaber battle from every single Star Wars on this shirt, starting from 1 all the way to 8. Don't even want to talk about 8. Last Jedi. Not a fan. Anyways, I've been a Star Wars fan since as long as I can remember. I watched Revenge of the Sith in theaters when I was only 5 years old. I grew up with the prequel trilogy, so they have a place in my heart. Is it the best trilogy? Absolutely not. The originals are the best. I recognize that. But the best movie in the franchise is, of course, Revenge of the Sith. So that's where I stand. So, Rise of Skywalker. I think I'm going to go through it. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to do it in a non-spoilery way at first, and then I'll jump into spoilers. I'll give it a rating, 1 out of 10, and then I'll say where it ranks among all of the other Star Wars movies. So let's jump right into it. Rise of Skywalker. I'm going to do this non-spoilery at first, and then I'll tell you when I get into spoilers. So, I liked it. I did a lot. Coming from someone who absolutely despises The Last Jedi, I think it was a disgrace to Star Wars, a disgrace to everything that's come before it. But this is easily the best of the of the sequel trilogy. This was a good movie. I don't want to overstate it, but it was good. It was solid. It had a lot of pacing issues. It was really fast, but it had to be. It had to make up for the movie before it, so it had to be fast to retcon everything that came before it in number 8, and I think it was really good. I think the pacing was a problem, of course. There were a few key elements that I didn't sit right with me, but overall, I was very pleased. I liked Rey a lot in this movie. I didn't really care for her character in the last movie. I thought she was very interesting in The Force Awakens, but I didn't really care for her at all after episode 8, but this movie really makes you like Rey. And Finn and all the returning characters, they get their chance to shine because all the other characters, the old ones, are dead because of what happened in The Last Jedi and even The Force Awakens. But overall, it was really good in my opinion. The ending was phenomenal in my opinion. There are certain parts of it that really rubbed me the wrong way, but it was super epic. It was super awesome. It was definitely worth the watch. I know a lot of people are saying they're not even going to give it a chance because of The Last Jedi, but that's foolish. I think you should go see it if you're really a Star Wars fan. Even if you're not, if you're just a new Star Wars fan, you should go see it. If you like The Last Jedi, this movie might not be the best taste for you because it does get rid of a lot of the stuff from that movie, but there still are some elements from The Last Jedi in this one, so it's not completely bad if you like The Last Jedi. So that's gonna do it for my spoiler free. I guess if I were to rate it out of 10, I would say 7 or 8, maybe 7.5 out of 10. I liked it a lot. And now I'm gonna jump into spoilers. So Rey being a Palpatine, I actually called that from the beginning. From Rey's lightsaber duel with Kylo in The Force Awakens, I could tell she was a Palpatine because of how she attacked. She attacked just like Palpatine. She had a lot of anger in her, the accent, everything. It was always my theory. It was either that or Kenobi at first. Then The Last Jedi said she was nobody, and I did not buy that whatsoever, so they finally revealed that she is a Palpatine. And speaking of Palpatine in this movie, I have 2 things to say about Palpatine in this movie. It was underwhelming and it was epic. How can you have both of those things at the same time? I'm not sure. So Palpatine wasn't really in it a lot. He was in the beginning and he was in the end. They talk about him in between, but that's it. The opening text crawl even says, oh, Palpatine has sent a message or whatever. And it just comes out of nowhere. And I don't know why they chose to do it in the text crawl rather than show Palpatine. But you see him in the beginning with Ben, you figure out that he's been every single voice, he's been controlling everything, and then he's in the end. And he was really epic in the end for how much time he was actually in there. His Force lightning, everything that he did was phenomenal. I loved it. He looked OP. He looked amazing in this movie. I'm glad Ian McDiarmid is back. Love Palpatine. As a Revenge of the Sith fan, Palpatine was one of the best parts of that movie. So seeing him almost return to that state after he sucked the Force out of Kylo and Rey, and then, I don't know, made himself not younger because he still looked really old, but he got his Sith eyes glowing back. He had the red on him, kind of like Revenge of the Sith. I loved it. And a lot of people have a problem with how Rey handled Palpatine. You just grab two lightsabers, put them together, and you can just kill him. But if you remember back, Palpatine says, if you kill me, I will take you over. So Rey couldn't just walk up and stab him. I'm sure a lot of people would have hated that too. But if she walks up and stabs him, kills him however she wants to, he can just take her over. If she kills him, it's all over for everybody. So what she did was she reflected his lightning back into him and killed him with his own powers. Almost like what would happen whenever he shot it at Mace Windu in episode 3 and it reflected back at him. It was almost the same thing. And it killed him. He was overconfident, as Luke said in episode 6, your overconfidence is your weakness, and it still is. That's his weakness. He's too overconfident. He thinks he's the best Sith ever, and he is, don't get me wrong. But his overconfidence was his downfall in the end. He was killed by Rey. I actually didn't have a problem with that. I loved whenever Rey was down and out and she looked up into the stars and was asking for guidance from all the fallen Jedi. And you can hear Anakin's voice, you can hear Obi-Wan's voice, Ewan McGregor and Alec Guinness. You could hear Mace Windu, Yoda, Luke. There's a whole bunch of others I saw somewhere. That part was easily the best part of the whole movie. I loved hearing Hayden Christensen's voice come back for that. That was amazing. I mean, I wish I saw him in the flesh. That part rubbed me wrong really bad because I really wanted to see Luke in this movie. Or not Luke, sorry, Anakin in this movie. But I guess hearing him is alright. At least we didn't get nothing, you know? And in the end, whenever she goes back to Luke's home planet, first of all, don't know how she knew where Lars Homestead was on Tatooine. I don't know how she knew that. But I don't care. So she shows up with Leia's and Luke's lightsaber. And by the way, that scene with Leia and Luke training with their de-aged faces, I don't mind that. I know everybody hates the de-aging, but I love it. It gives so much potential and stuff like that. But that scene was awesome. You see Leia's lightsaber. So she goes back and she buries their lightsabers. And somebody asked her, "Who are you?" Which is the question they've been asking all the way since episode 7, whenever Rey's first introduced. Even the first trailer that they have with Rey was, "Who are you?" It was always the question of the entire trilogy, "Who are you?" She finally figured out she was a Palpatine, but it's like if you figure out that Hitler was your grandfather, you're not going to take the name Hitler. So she responds Skywalker, and I actually don't have a problem with that, because Ben gave his life for her. And a really cool thing about that is it looked like he was holding her on the womb, like if almost he impregnated her through the Force, which was really strange. I wonder what they're going to do with that, because this is supposed to be the end, but I feel like they're going to do something with that. So she might be holding a Skywalker in her. I don't know, but I don't mind her taking the Skywalker name. Luke and Leia are both the people who trained her, both Skywalkers, both children of Anakin. I didn't mind it. And then the Force Ghosts of Luke and Leia come out. That was awesome. I loved to see that. I loved how it ended with her staring at the sunset. The ending was just, I didn't have a lot of problems with it. There's some stuff that I think you can do better. I didn't have a huge problem with it. So yeah, so the end was really good in my opinion. Some things I would change. So Kylo dies and becomes one with the Force. I think it would have been really good if they showed Ben Solo standing with Luke and Leia at the end, or maybe even Anakin, or just show any of the Force Ghosts besides just Luke and Leia. Because I know they brought in Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor, but I heard them, but I didn't see any of them in the movie. So, I guess I would have changed having some Force Ghosts in the movie more than just Luke and Leia. Show Ben's at the end, kind of like how they showed Anakin's at the end of Return of the Jedi. Show the person who just sacrificed themselves to come back to the light. Show them in the flesh, well, not in the flesh, as a ghost, you know what I mean. And I would have absolutely loved to see the Force Ghosts in the flesh whenever Rey was fighting Palpatine at the end. Like them almost, you could see all of them standing behind her or something like that. So like have Qui-Gon, have Yoda, have Anakin, have Luke, Obi-Wan, all the Jedi that have been helping Rey through her, everything that's happened since she became a Jedi. Have all of them standing behind her, almost willing her to take on Palpatine. So I'm pretty sure that's what was happening in her mind, but for an audience, of course, for the hardcore fans, they get kind of annoyed because it looks like Rey just takes on Palpatine by herself. But she is using the power of all the previous Jedi, like she says, and I am every Jedi, meaning that she is every single Jedi put into one. They all are with her. So it would have been really cool to see them actually visualize behind her. That would have been good. That would have made the movie 9 out of 10. That alone could have even pushed it to 10 out of 10. I can't even just imagine how epic that would be. So, in retrospect, the scene could have been handled better. Palpatine could have survived a little longer, done a little bit more in the movie. But you know, J.J. Abrams was rushing this movie. He had to. He had a god-awful movie come before him. He was only dealt the cards that Rian Johnson gave him, and he had to do something with it. So I'm thoroughly impressed with what he was able to accomplish in this movie. He had to retcon everything that came before it, make it make sense, make it appease Star Wars fans, and he had to make a movie in and of itself. Was it a conclusion to all 9 movies? No, I don't think so. Was it a good conclusion to this trilogy? Absolutely. This should have been episode 8. Maybe with a little more training and stuff like that, but this should have been episode 8, and it should have been an episode 9 come after this to end everything, because this didn't feel like an end. They tried to make it feel like an end at the end, and the end of this movie by having her at Luke's home, but it didn't feel like an end to everything. So, like I said before, I'd give it about 7.5 out of 10, because I'm in between 7 and 8. After I watched it, I thought it was an 8 out of 10 because I was really impressed. And then after I thought about it, I thought it was a 7. And now that it's been a whole day since I've watched it, I'm gonna stick with a 7.5 out of 10. So where does it rank among the other Star Wars? Number 1 will always be Revenge of the Sith. Number 2, Empire Strikes Back, easily. Those two can go back and forth between a lot of Star Wars fans, but Revenge of the Sith is just above and beyond every other Star Wars. I'm sorry, I just absolutely love that movie. So number 3, I would say would be A New Hope. Number 4, Return of the Jedi. And then I would put Rise of Skywalker at number 5. And this is coming from a prequel fan myself. These 3 movies right here, they mean the world to me. But I think Rise of Skywalker was better than both of them. I enjoyed it more than both of them. And I watched those 3 movies a million times, or I've watched these 2 a million times, this one as well, but I would say Rise of Skywalker is better than those. It's not better than any of the originals, it's not better than Revenge of the Sith. It can go back and forth with Phantom Menace. Definitely not Attack of the Clones, it's better than Attack of the Clones for sure. It's better than Force Awakens, it's better than Last Jedi. Oh my, I don't even consider Last Jedi a movie. If I were to give that a ranking, it would just not exist. And then I don't really want to put Rogue One and Solo in there. I think Rogue One was better than this. Solo, I do like Solo a lot actually, but this one, I don't know, I'd say it's better than Solo. So I'd say it's about middle of the pack Star Wars for me. It's not the best, it's not the worst. I know a lot of people want to call it the worst. I know a lot of people want to call it the best. I think it's right in the middle. It was a satisfying conclusion. Was it a great conclusion? No. Was it a terrible conclusion? Absolutely not. So those are my thoughts on the movie. So that's gonna be it, guys. Let me know if y'all want me to make a video showing all my Star Wars merchandise, because I have a ton of it. I mean, I'm probably just gonna make that video anyways. I don't expect a lot of feedback on this video. I just gotta keep the grind going. Thank you so much. This has been the Gavican Republic, and I'm gonna come up with a slogan that I can outro with, but for now, this is gonna be it. Thank you, guys.